Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on something that affects all of us, but can feel, well, impossible to understand: the law. We're going to uncover a hidden structure, a kind of blueprint that's designed not to confuse you, but actually to protect you.
You know that feeling, right? You try to read a new law or a statute, and it's just this dense wall of text. It's full of jargon and weird clauses, and you can't help but think it's meant to be confusing. But what if I told you that all that seeming chaos is actually a very carefully designed system?
Okay, so let's get into it. Every law is built on a foundation, a kind of blueprint. You can think of it as the architecture of justice. And today, we're going to explore three really critical parts of that blueprint that make sure our laws are honest, practical, and most importantly, fair. Because those sections that look so boring and technical, the title, the separability clause, the effectivity clause, they aren't just filler text. Nope. They are powerful safeguards specifically designed to prevent abuse and to uphold your rights. Let's start at the very top, the first line of any law. So, our first line of defense against sneaky laws is something really simple: the title. Its job is to tell you exactly what the law is about with no hidden surprises. But why is something so basic so important? Well, it's designed to solve a problem called hodgepodge or log rolling legislation. Now, this is a classic political trick, right? You take an unpopular idea and you bury it deep inside a popular bill, just hoping that nobody's going to notice it's there. And this is where it gets dangerous. Imagine a bill called the Farm-to-Table Produce Act. Sounds great. You'd expect it to be about tomato subsidies, tax breaks for farm equipment, things like that. But then, buried on page 87, there's a section that completely changes national election laws. It's totally deceptive, and it's designed that way on purpose. And that is why we have this really powerful constitutional rule. A bill can only cover one subject, and that subject has to be clearly stated right there in the title. This forces honesty from the very beginning and stops legislators from smuggling unrelated and often unwanted items into law. And believe me, this isn't just a theory. It has very real consequences. You can look at the case of City of Baguio v. Marcos. A law's title said it was about claiming public land. Seems simple, but the body of the law went way further, allowing claims from all sorts of complex land surveys that had nothing to do with public land. The court had to step in and say, whoa, nope, the law had overreached its own title. It's proof that the title isn't just a name, it's a critical boundary. All right, let's move on to the second piece of our blueprint. So we've talked about how to keep laws honest. Now let's talk about making them resilient, making them tough. Just think about this for a second. Let's say a huge 500-page healthcare law gets passed. Years of work went into it. But then a court finds that one single sentence, one tiny provision, violates the Constitution. What happens to the other 499 pages of that law? Without some kind of failsafe, the court might have to throw the whole thing out, all of it. All that work, all that debate, all those vital policies, just gone. It's the legal version of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, and it could cause chaos. But there's an elegant solution for this: the separability clause. It's a small but mighty provision that basically tells the courts, hey, if you find a bad apple in here, just take out that one bad part. The rest of the law is good, and it's meant to stand on its own. It's a legislative surgical tool that provides stability and prevents one tiny error from causing a total catastrophe. Now for our third and, maybe the most fundamental part of this whole blueprint. We've made sure our law is honest, we've made sure it's stable, but none of that matters if you don't even know the law exists in the first place. This quote from the Supreme Court, it just gets to the absolute heart of justice, doesn't it? I mean, how can a society possibly punish you for breaking a rule you had no way of knowing about? The whole idea is just fundamentally unjust. And this is where the effectivity clause comes into play. This is the part of the law that's like the official on switch. It tells everyone when the law goes into effect and becomes binding on all of us. So the general rule is pretty clear. A law takes effect 15 days after it's been published, like in a newspaper or an official gazette. But for a long time, that little phrase at the end, unless it is otherwise provided, caused a massive legal debate. People wondered, does that phrase mean the government could just skip publishing the law entirely? Could they pass a law in secret and then, using that phrase, decide to make it effective immediately? Could they actually enforce secret laws on an unsuspecting public? This was the exact question that went all the way to the Supreme Court. And the court's answer was a huge, resounding no. Their ruling was crystal clear. Publication is, and I quote, indispensable, non-negotiable. They clarify that that little phrase doesn't let you skip publication. It only lets you change the timing. You can say the law takes effect 30 days after publication or even a year after, but you can never, ever make the waiting period 0. The law must be made public. And here's the reason why. The court basically said that not publishing a law denies the public knowledge of the rules that govern them, and that is a fundamental violation of due process. It's simple, really. You have a right to know the rules before anyone can expect you to follow them. So let's tie all of this together. We've looked at the title, the separability clause, and the effectivity clause. They might look like boring legal fine print, but as we've seen, they are so much more than that. When you put it all together, you really see this blueprint in action. The title ensures honesty, so you can't be tricked. The separability clause provides practicality, so our laws don't just collapse because of one small mistake. And the effectivity clause guarantees justice by making sure no law can ever be a secret. So remember, these things aren't just jargon for lawyers to fight over. They are the essential architecture of a legal system that actually values transparency, stability, and fairness for every single one of us. These clauses are the quiet guardians of our legal system, working in the background of every single law. So the real question is, the next time you see a new law, will you look past that wall of text and see the hidden blueprint that's there to protect your rights?